welcome to I'm Not a Fan Unless I Have a Podcast, which I have kind of been considering renaming to I Am Podcast. I Am Podcast. Yeah. Okay, well, that gets the adrenaline going. I also got to see King Gizzard play Gaia twice in the 4-show run that I got to see them, which, holy shit, that is kind of why I'm doing this podcast now, because between that 4-show run plus Omnium Gatherum coming out yesterday, I am just so full of shit, according to everybody. Most people that I talk with, because like I reached out to several people, over text today, and I was just like, you would check out this album, check out this song. Like I sent an Instagram message to my old journalism professor in college, and this guy, he had a great career in in TV news production, and like he used to be the executive producer of 60 Minutes, and he was actually responsible for starting the Fox News channel. Like Rupert Murdoch hired him to start the news division, since he had decades of experience with CBS, and seemed like, hey, here's a straight shooter. And so he worked for Fox for about 2 months before Roger Ailes came by and said, hey, we need you to hire people based on their political ideology. Specifically, it'd be preferential if they lean conservative. And my professor, being I don't know, having some degree of journalistic integrity, was just like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So he resigned. And that's why guaranteed contracts are so great, because he was able to just take Rupert Murdoch's money and fuck off, go start Telemundo, and then eventually become a professor and like work with kids. This dude was like he was my favorite professor in college, so it was very cool that he kind of got to have this unusual story. Like, you wouldn't necessarily expect Rupert Murdoch to actually make a good hire, but he actually did. Then Roger Ailes came along and fucked it up. But in any case, I sent him the track "Evilest Man," and said, hey, reminded me of you. And he responded, like, hey, good to hear from you, but man, I'm glad this isn't a love song. But yeah, anyway, that was just fun for me. And ultimately, to the point, that's what this podcast is for. It's my outlet to talk about King Giz, because when I'm not at a Giz show and I don't have people around me that really are into it, I don't want to fucking inundate them like they're a non-Mormon living in Salt Lake City or something. Or I mean, Salt Lake City has plenty of non-Mormons, but you know what I'm saying. It's it gets annoying. We all know this. We've all experienced trying to talk to somebody about Giz and them being like, yeah, okay. If you're lucky, if they aren't just going to mace you right in the face, or walk away without any incident. But in any case, I love this band. What am I talking about? Omnium Gatherum, hell of a song. I mean, hell of an album with 16 songs that, I mean, it's just such a fascinating thing, because like this is kind of like the third installment of Oddments, where it's just tracks that don't really fit together with one specific cohesive theme, other than this is kind of like the whole thing, which I think is roughly the translation of Omnium Gatherum. Sorry, I've got a little bit of a coffee acid reflux going on. Caffeine. But yeah, I mean, it has a lot of the same similar vibe as like Gumboot Soup. They do get jazzy, which I love. Because probably and the transitions between the songs are great too, even though, because there is a lot of contrast between them. Like, I love how they go straight from Kepler 22b, which is I'll get to that in a minute. I fucking love that song. But that transition from Kepler 22b into Gaia into Ambergris is just, I mean, I don't know what words can really describe it. It's just one of those ineffable things, at least at this moment for me, that just makes me love this band for that reason. It's like, I can't explain why. I just I love it. God damn it. I'm only saying God damn it because I'm looking at myself while this video is recording. So it's, anyway, I'll try to keep the self-awareness to a minimum. I know that shit can get distracting. But in any case, Kepler 22b, that was a really cool track, for a lot of reasons. The main reason it's cool for me is that when I first heard it, it was when I was just about to check out of the Virgin Hotel in Las Vegas, where King Gizzard had played for 2 nights, and and as I was watching the video, I saw a guy who I had hung out with during and after the show the night before, and he was just on his way to check out. He's getting some coffee. Happens to be a Seattle dude, so fuck yeah. Well, Jacob, I'll hit you up when I get back up there this summer. But yeah, so anyway, Jacob was walking down, got some coffee, and I waved hi to him, and I was like, dude, come over here, because I had just seen 8 minutes prior to that, King Gizzard had just released the video to Kepler 22b on YouTube. So we just had a fucking Giz head moment. I'd met this dude the day before. He had flown in from Seattle just for the show, and to stay over in Vegas, and he was out. It's just like, I fucking love that. But he so I was like, dude, they just released a new video, let's watch it. So we're just watching it right there, just in the cafe area. And it was just the coolest thing, because it was both our first time listening to the song and then also seeing the video. And we weren't really, I'm sure he wasn't able to fully digest it, as neither was I, but it was so cool to just have that moment of like, I get it, it's probably like the equivalent of having breakfast in bed, like the morning after a one night stand, like it's but seriously, it was just having that connection of like, we both traveled to Las Vegas, to this hotel, so we could see King Gizzard and be in the whole thing. And then it was just like such a proper send-off. He went straight from Kepler 22b to, McCarran Airport. And that's just the coolest thing. Yeah, well, and that's the other thing. This, because like I'd seen King Gizzard on this tour, 3 or in 2 other cities. I saw them in San Diego, which was the start of the tour, and then again in Pomona the following night. And those shows, I mean, honestly, I'll get to the San Diego show. The Pomona show was incredible. But it wasn't until the Vegas shows, where it was at a hotel, it was a 2-day, a 2-night event, having like Giz in one place and a whole bunch of people traveling there, and then staying either at or near the hotel. It kind of became sort of like an informal Giz Comic-Con, or GizzCon, I guess that's what you would call it. Because it was just, you'd see like the same fans, like all the time, just like passing by people and stuff. And like, I talked with many of them, not most, because like it gets exhausting. I do like to preserve my energy. I don't have a ton of it. So I like to be very, I like to be intentional with it. But it was just so cool to be in that environment where it's just like, everywhere you look, you're going to see a Giz shirt, or somebody who's here to see the Emil and the Sniffers, or the Chats. And what great opening bands. I was so fucking stoked to see Emil again, because I'd seen them 3 times in 2018, when twice when they opened for Giz in New York, and then they came back again later in the year to headline their own show at Baby's All Right. And I mean, and I could tell like this is a band I want to see live every time I get the chance to. And it wasn't until to Me came out last year that I realized like, oh, okay, Amel, like their sound and their energy can be like they can transcend the live arena to the record with just their energy, and which is nuts because like, you know, sure, I guess sure you have the Beastie Boys. I'm just trying to think of bands that have released amazing records without the vocals being without it being straight up rap and having the vocals not sung, because like even the tracks where Amy Taylor does sing, and fuck, I'm not even gonna apologize for this Amel tangent. It's valid. But like even the tracks where Amy does sing on Comfort to Me, like those aren't even the best tracks. Like that's not the best part of the album. It's not because she sang that album is so amazing. It's just like they did such an amazing job with, I guess, the songwriting for sure, but just the whatever went into the production of that record, they fucking nailed it. Because like the next day, I saw Amel checking out of the hotel the following morning, and then they were just on their way to New York apparently to go play Seth Meyers. And I could give a fuck about late night, corporate TV, late night talk shows, but that's dope as fuck that like mainstream shows are actually featuring good music again. And if nothing else, that is a reason to watch the show. I mean, because like I don't think Seth Meyers really lives his life outside of 30 Rock, and sorry, he doesn't strike me as like a man of the people exactly, but it was so cool to see because he does come from legitimate roots. I recognize that. I know the story. I've been a fan for a long time, but he doesn't have that same. To me, he always will be a corporate sellout, for lack of a better term. I don't begrudge him, but it just comes with the territory. If you allow your paycheck to come from a corporation that pays and they're paying you millions of dollars to share information with people, just in this climate we're in, I automatically think that's suspect. Sorry. And even without the climate we're in, it is kind of anti-comedy to kowtow to whatever an executive is telling you your content should be. So the fact that they're able to get Amel and the Sniffers on, in spite of all that, and the fact that I do believe he legitimately enjoys their music. A lot of comedians have posted about Amel and the Sniffers in the last year. I remember Dean Delray getting really hyped up about the new record. And it's just cool as fuck to see like some band that I had no idea what, who they were in Brooklyn a few years ago, and thinking like, they're a great live band. I don't know about ever releasing a record. So fucking cool to be proven wrong. I sincerely love that part about life and saying wild shit. Like that is one of my favorite things about saying wild shit is like in the moment I might feel totally right, but also I know I might be completely or at least partially wrong. Because nothing in this life is certain. So anyway, back to King Gizzard and the GizzCon of Las Vegas. That's I hope Giz does more shows at hotels, / casinos, just because it's such a centralized thing. It really creates like just this palpable energy that you can be walking around at like 1-2 p.m. passing Stu by, like also Cavs and Stu, they brought their wives and kids along. Obviously, I know Cavs' wife is Amy from Stonefield, but in any case, it's just the coolest thing to like just see them around and everything, and just kind of, and then see other Giz heads walking around and everything. And then mingling with them, and like going out to lunch and dinner with some of these people. It was just the coolest thing. I met, you know, I met some new friends, Brittany and Bryce, had fun third wheeling them. It was seriously like, you know, Brittany, I guess she had reached out to me on Instagram, because she had seen, you know, my stories from San Diego and Pomona, and she's like, yo, I'm going to be in Vegas. And it's like, well, fucking right. Cool. I got somebody to meet up with now. And anyway, it was just so much fun. And then our like our group kept building, and I made friends with other groups and like other people. We did just like, there were just, but, and that's also kind of the beauty of going to concerts alone, is especially Giz concerts, like when you're gonna see a band where everybody there, or most people are there really to see this band that they love, it makes it so easy to just like start conversations. And you know, it's pretty easy to figure out, like, from how the first conversation goes, hey, are these people I can really vibe with? And a lot of the time that was the case. I got to meet Mystery Jack as well. Super cool guy. And yeah, I mean, it's just like, I got to meet so many people who I've, you know, seen from like the shit posting groups and stuff, or, you know, or they've seen me on the groups or doing this podcast. I just love that. So the community aspect of King Giz is just alive and well, man. What else did I want to get to? Well, right. You know, I did say that I had something to say about Kepler 22b. And it like, you know, I was reading along with the lyrics a little bit while I was watching the video. And again, this is after I watched, this is when I was watching the video, like the second time after Jacob had left for the airport. And I just wanted to really get into this song. You know, the lyrics go, nerdy kid at school with astral thoughts, wanted to be an astronaut so I could be alone in space, get away. Dreamt of Kepler 22b. Well, okay, well, you can read the lyrics. But, you know, the chorus goes, obsession is good for you. Good for you. Ha ha ha. Obsession is good for you. Ha. Oh my God. Sorry, just when I read the lyrics like that, it reminded me of the video of Christopher Walken just reading the lyrics to Poker Face, the Lady Gaga song, like on some British talk show in like 2008. Oh, that was hilarious. Check it out if you don't know what I'm talking about. But the whole point of the song is that obsession is good for you. And this is something that I was thinking, like, well, this is like a not so subtle, like a not so subliminal message, like, hey, please keep buying our shit because this obsession is good for you. You know, it's like when doctors said that Camel cigarettes were their number one choice of cigarette. The doctor's preferred cigarette, Camel. This is like, initially I was interpreting this as like an unnecessary marketing song for King Gizzard. I'm just like, look, we're gonna keep giving you our money. Stop telling us it's good for us. We know we're paying for something that we like. Don't remind us. Anyway, but then I you know, the less cynical I got about it, the more I realized, like, oh shit, this song is something that I relate to, and I'm sure all of us do to a degree. But specifically for me, obsession has led me to every crazy thing that I've done in my life. You know, like I had a 7-year career working in the baseball industry, and that was because I didn't get good grades in school, and instead I just researched the fuck out of baseball because it's all I cared about. You know, that and music, but like baseball was, but you know, my high school guidance counselor talked me out of doing music for a career. So I was just like, okay, well, what career could I make money in, be respected by other corporate fucks, and and keep alive my love of baseball. So I figured out, hey, like I just kind of carved out a career for myself in baseball, working, in media. And then from there, I went to scouting for a couple of years. And then after that, I parlayed that into a job making baseball cards for Topps. So it's like, that was all because of obsession. And even though not all of it was good for me, like I don't, it proved to be unhealthy for me to go so hard into baseball, because I kept it as like part of my identity, like who I was. I'm a baseball guy. Like it was my number one goal in life to make a lasting impact on the game, in one way or another. And the more I got into working in that field, the more I fell out of it, the more jaded I got. It just proved to be like that wasn't me. I still, and now what's great is like I love baseball. I can watch a baseball game again without having like some sort of PTSD thing. Just look, they abolished the draft, so now young men in America and women get corporate PTSD. Yay. But in any case, I and then after I quit that and I moved to the desert, that was also based on obsession. I became obsessed with like trying to with King Gizzard music, and like because they unlocked for me like some type of creative bridge or bridge in my head, from like I don't know how brain chemistry works, but I just felt like they kind of unlocked something in my head that made me really devote myself to whatever creative endeavor I might choose in the moment. Podcasting, music, stand-up comedy, drawing, it's just like all these things. And so like I guess what I've become obsessed with since I realized like, hey, maybe the baseball obsession wasn't healthy, I've just kind of become obsessed with, in addition to King Gizzard, really figuring out like shit about life, and also just, well, which is also to say, not really worrying about shit, being obsessed with not worrying, and being obsessed with trusting that things are going to work out, and just operating with that mindset, because even if it turns out to be bullshit, at least I'm going into things with the best intentions possible. And I like to think that will, inspire others around me. It's the whole growth mindset thing. I don't need to explain that. There are plenty of books, self-help and shit, and and not self-help as well, that I think, anyway, you get it. But so this song, I just loved that it became, let's see, where were these lyrics? Because there was one line in here that really, oh yeah, there we go, verse 2. Didn't get the grades to be a NASA astronaut, couldn't knuckle down or focus on my schoolwork. Yeah, I get that. I only read one book in high school, and that was Slaughterhouse-Five, because I thought Kurt Vonnegut was pretty dope. The rest I just spark noted, and I actually did get good grades on my essays, because I'm a good writer and I get creative, and I'm pretty good at diverting attention from the fact that I didn't read the book. I just made interesting points that were based on random quotes I flipped to in the book, and then used some narrative from Spark Notes to like paraphrase or make an argument. I don't know, but in any case, I didn't get good grades otherwise. And so I became a ghetto engineer, making shit out of glass to refract the light from distant stars. Then I built a telescope so big, pointed it at Kepler 22b. That's the place for me. Woo! These are fun to read. God, I am not even high. I'm just on it like a fucking caffeine, King Gizzard, echo chamber, just in a corner of my apartment. But holy fuck, this song, it's maybe not making for the best podcast, so I'm gonna stop talking about it, but like Kepler 22b, what an inspirational song that like made me, I don't know, I just relate to it a lot. Hopefully you do too. Hope that was interesting. Anyway, the transition from Kepler 22b into Gaia into Ambergris, those transitions were just some of my favorites on this album. And again, like this goes back to the whole thing of like how there isn't one cohesive theme with this record. There's, you know, because like Stu and Ambrose rap on a couple tracks in here, you know, Sadie Sorceress. We also get Ambrose's grandma, 97 years old at the time of recording. Maybe she's still 97, who knows. Hopefully she's still alive. I did like how when King Gizzard posted the pictures of Ambrose with his granny singing, you know, recording her singing Sadie Sorceress. I like how they captioned it with what was it? The Shrimp Reaper. That was fucking dope. Which also, I guess, is a play on the Grim Reaper, because Ambrose raps on that, and that's a fucking dope ass track. If you remember, if you have watched and followed this podcast for a while, you might remember the episode where we had Abby, who's, you know, massive Cookie fan. She runs the Cookie Dog 69 Instagram account. She posted something on I think it was on the shit posting page that was fucking hilarious. Something to the effect of the Grim Reaper sounds like the theme song for an early 2000s animated show, like that like a failed early 2000s, you know, cartoon. And I know exactly what the fuck she's talking about. That was so specific. I loved it. It was hilarious. You know, because like it's such a like that little intro riff, like dun 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 dun. It sounds like it's part of an 8-bit type thing. But then he just comes out fucking rapping like, oh, so cool. God, I'm trying to remember what was that cartoon? Static Shock, I think, it was on WB, and it had like, I think there's some type of rap or something. Some ridiculous theme song. If you guys don't remember Static Shock, like it was like some cartoon kid. He might have been an animal. I don't know. You know, like how Arthur was an aardvark, and you know, the different characters in that show were different things. I think he might have been in some kind of animal, or just looked weird because it's a cartoon. But his whole superpower is that he was like he had static electricity as a superpower, and he just hovered around on a trash can lid. That was dope. And I don't think it was on the air for like more than a season or two. So thank you, Abby, for that laugh. That was hilarious to me. But you know, then we got a lot of really great Ambrose tracks on here. I mean, obviously him getting featured in The Dripping Tap, Magenta Mountain, his solos in there. And I mean, and then obviously Sadie Sorceress, he wrote that one. I mean, we got 16 tracks on this, and like they go in this you know, type of symmetrical pattern, you know, where like the fourth track in, you get Gaia, and then the fourth track from the end is Predator X, and they just kind of did a good match of like, you know, creating that whole bell curve of you know, songs to match on either end of the album. I mean, obviously you can't really match Dripping Tap with anything, but well, actually I guess you can. You could just, it ends with the funeral. Like, yeah, eventually the Dripping Tap's got to end, presumably at the funeral. But I just love this. And also, speaking of Cookie Dog, I did get to see him play the Garden Goblin. Like they get to play the Garden Goblin the first night of Vegas, and that was the coolest thing because I'd never seen Cookie sing a song live. I wasn't sure if I would ever get to see that. Just, you know, I figured I was hoping I figured at one point during the Red Rocks shows, we would get, maybe oh, what's that song? Fuck, I'm blanking. Down the Sink, because they did that at a few shows in 2019. But it was cool to see that Cookie is still writing music for King Giz. Garden Goblin is such a sweet song. It's about his dog. And it's just such a silly song, which is what most of Cookie songs are. And I told him, like, because I got to meet him, and I had him sign all my Pipe records. And I talked with him for about 10 minutes after the second show in Vegas. And it was it was the coolest thing, because like, he was just walking down the hallway, and in the hotel, and luckily I recognized him, and nobody else was really looking to really trying to meet anybody from the band. So I was like, yo, Cookie, could you mind signing some Piper records? And he was like, oh yeah, no problem. And he was just like more than happy to hang around and just talk, or listen to me talk. And we hung out for like 10 minutes. And I was just like, feel free to cut me off if you gotta go back to your room. It was, it was late. But he was like, oh, no, happy to hang. And so, I told him, look, I started a podcast about King Gizzard, and just told him, like, I also told him what King Gizzard meant to me creatively, like kind of like what I was talking about with Kepler 22b. It's like, I told him King Gizzard, something was unlocked in my brain after the more I dove deeper into this band, and just like they hit a certain nerve with me that like, I don't know, it's like some kind of sonic acupuncture, like by the way, if you didn't know this, acupuncture can do fucking wonders for people. I've never done it, never tried it. I at some point I'll get around to it, but my cousin kind of turned me on to this idea, because she got acupuncture a few years ago, and she just got it for the same reason. Well, maybe not the same reason I'm thinking of getting it, but she just got it to get it, and inadvertently she wound up being able to hear again out of her right ear. She had been deaf for a while, or like deaf in one ear, and never figured out why. Figured, hey, maybe there's some kind of infection at some point, but there was some kind of blockage that acupuncture undid. And so I can only think of King Giz in this light as being kind of like a sonic acupuncture for me, or I guess a type of music therapy. Maybe that kind of is it for a lot of us that love this band so much. But so I told him, like I told Cookie, I've been, like King Gizzard kind of gave me, they unlocked something for me, and I just felt like I had this strength all of a sudden to, or over time I realized that I had, strength of my own inside, where I was able to throw away my baseball career, and without real, I didn't actually throw it away, but I felt like I was, and I moved out of New York to the desert to reinvent who I was, and try to figure out something creatively, because that's where I felt my true calling was, regardless of whether that translates to commercial success. If it happens, great, but I honestly don't care at this juncture, and until I have reason to care, I can't. But and then I told him specifically about his music, that I said I actually didn't tell him he's my favorite songwriter in King Giz. So you don't want to like suck your hero's dick too much, but or you know what I'm saying, like you don't want to do that shit. But I did tell him, like, I've always been fascinated with his lyricism, because to me they're always like quirky lyrics. They to me kind of his style reminds me of Seinfeld, where he's able to just take these mundane observations and or just like mundane topics, and then turn them into songs that are just like wonderful. And he thought that was interesting. He was like, oh, I never thought about it like that. And then, but yeah, I was watching Seinfeld the other night, and I was just like, yeah, that doesn't shock me in the slightest. And I was a little disappointed he didn't think that was as funny as I did, but in any case, it was just so cool meeting him and talking with him for a while. And like I told him about like I told him about all the shit I was doing. And I said, you guys really inspired me, and it was cool. So yeah, it was a bit of a fanboy moment, but I mean, he was here for it, or there for it. And yeah, what a fucking time. He told me he looked forward to seeing me at Red Rocks. So whether that just meant in the audience or meeting up outside, who knows? But I can't imagine he would be lying either way. What an awesome dude! What an awesome band! And yeah, it was the coolest thing. Also, this was after the second show that I met him. That was the 9th time I've seen Giz, and it was the most mind blown I've ever been after a Giz concert. Like it was to the point where I could not form words. I couldn't really form articulate sentences to describe how I was feeling or what we just saw. The last show in Vegas, Gizzard did 3 songs off of Willoughby's Beach, and it was just it was so fucking rocking. Like they did Deadbeat, Blacktooth, and Willoughby's Beach. Oh my fucking god, it was the coolest shit. And I do gotta say, well, I'll get to that in a sec. Hang on. The original point I'm making here, it was I had my mind blown, and then I had to, and then I got to meet Cookie. I got to meet him. But between when the show let out and when I met Cookie, there was about 45 minutes of time. So I ran back up to my hotel room, grabbed the records to get signed. Anyway, this is all to say, I should have been, like, I felt like I was shaking all over. But the reality is I wasn't. And especially when it got time to actually talk with Cookie, I couldn't believe how lucid I was. And, cause like I was high as shit. But I was speaking coherently, having a perfectly fine conversation with Cookie Dog, and just thank God I was high, because it really helps with the shakes. But I don't know if I said that already in this podcast. But in any case, it was just what a show. But going back to what I was going to say with Willoughby's Beach, seeing that live, it was another really cool thing about seeing Giz, is seeing the other people enjoying them. There was a guy, he was like, pardon the profiling, but like this dude was like, he appeared as though he was kind of a meathead, but this dude was like into Giz. Like this guy, he kept screaming at the top of his lungs. He wasn't singing, he was screaming the lyrics to Lord of Lightning and like all the songs prior to that, probably. He was losing his damn mind. And I was just like, at first I was thinking, like, I was just annoyed. I was just like, oh, this fucking guy, what is your deal? But then they do the Willoughby's Beach Suite, and he's singing along with all those songs too. I'm just like, oh, okay, this dude's been waiting his whole fucking life. And I was just happy for him. Like it was just the purest joy that and like even the night before, I saw like another full grown man. He was just, I don't know, like he was just screaming, fuck, like during songs and in between songs. It was really annoying, but at the same time, you got to respect like different people, how they react to being completely speechless and mind blown. human emotions are so fucking complex and weird, and just I love it all. I'm here for it. It's just, oh my God. But this guy was just like losing his shit. It was hilarious but wholesome. Like, because like at first I just heard him screaming in the back of my ear, and like, you know, whenever I'm at a Giz show, I usually sing along with the lyrics just because it's unconscious. It's like whenever I'm listening to Giz in the car, I wind up, like, I catch myself singing along with their songs. And so I caught myself, you know, it's like singing along with them, but then I'm getting drowned out by this dude who's just screaming. And like, Lord of Lightning, Jesus gaze. I mean, the crazed look in this dude's eyes, it was just like, oh, just let him up to the front, let him get against the rail. And luckily, when you scream loud enough, for long enough, people will let you get past them. They don't want to hear that shit. But it was so cool because, like, when he finally broke through to the rail, you know, he was just there for the rest of the show. And and it was just like, and even though he was totally hoarse by the end of it, probably had to have been, it was just like, what a beautiful moment. What a beautiful thing to witness, because you don't get to see pure unbridled joy coming from adults often, you know. And and especially like adults who look like they're like, he's probably used to screaming like in the gym or something, but I'm maybe not. He actually didn't really look like he worked out, but he just looked like, you know, a guy who would hang out with meatheads. But no, but it was just so fucking funny. And just wholesome. I just love the whole thing. So that's I guess how I'm gonna wrap that part. And you know, I did say, on the flip side of this, because I alluded to this earlier when I was talking about seeing Giz in San Diego. I decided to take a half a tab of acid when I went to that show, because every time I've tripped at Giz, actually not every time, but, well, the point is, the takeaway I got from this trip is that I don't need to trip at a show ever again, because I couldn't tell in the moment what it was, and after the fact, I heard there were a few issues. I heard from other people. First, I heard from other people, other people's accounts that were there who were sober or maybe just a little high. They confirmed that the vibe of the crowd was shit in San Diego. And that I definitely felt. Like, there was no camaraderie there between me and other fans. Great. Well, this is the perks of living near a military base. My house is rattling because the helicopters are going over. Don't know if the mic picked that up. But in any case, it's worth it for the UFOs, you know? We have UFO sightings in Joshua Tree. Anyway, I was talking about San Diego and the crowd and how it kind of sucked. You know, like when I got in line in San Diego, everybody around me was in a group or like with their significant other or something. So like, I didn't really feel a good opportunity or like a real good vibe to like start talking with people. And I didn't take acid when I was in, like, I didn't wait to drop until I was inside the venue. And you know, so like that wasn't for any tripping reason that I felt like, maybe a conversation here isn't right. That was just the vibe I was picking up on. But then and the other thing was that, you know, I was like right front and center, like right in front of Stu against the rail in San Diego, and I could barely hear the guitars or any instrument other than Cavs just beating the fuck out of the drums like he does. And I had heard from some people after the fact that there was some kind of noise ordinance in San Diego, since like the Humphreys by the Bay venue is outdoors, and And like, yeah, they had to wrap up by 10:15. So I think that was their curfew, or maybe 10:30 was a curfew, but they wrapped up at 10:15, which is about an hour and a half for the show. But there was some kind of noise ordinance where it's possible they weren't able to turn their amps up all the way, or the PA all the way. And so for me, that kind of, like, what the hell is the point of seeing King Gizzard if you can't, hear and see Stu do, like, the delay effect, like the and like Mars for the Rich and stuff. So just like, yeah. And again, I couldn't tell if that was real or if that was just like the acid making me hyper fixate on just the drums, because that's what was loudest to me. But also it's just the conversations around me that were annoying. Also, like, if you're going to a fucking concert, don't talk loudly. It's the same thing in stand-up comedy. You don't, or maybe it's not the same thing, but it is a thing at stand-up shows. You don't fucking talk while the show is happening. And if you have to talk, keep it to like a murmur, be as respectful as possible to both Giz doesn't really need, Giz can handle it, but like, just be respectful of the people watching the show around you is all I'm saying. Because they might be tripping on acid and hearing your conversations more than King Giz and thinking, wow, what empty lives these people must lead, that you're talking about this bullshit instead of listening to this amazing music. But anyway, so after the shitty San Diego experience, which it still wasn't completely shitty, we got we got hot water, we got trapdoor, that was cool. But after that I was like, I think I'm done tripping at shows, at least. And then the next night in Pomona was fucking insane. Like they opened up with the Mind Fuzz suite, which was like, that just got the show off on a good foot perfectly. I also got to meet up with Amanda, who she was on a couple episodes that we had. I forget the numbers, but yeah, she was on the one called Fuck Ton of Dots, past episode of this podcast. And so it's cool to like meet up with her in person and watch the show together. We also got posters, which it was a sick design of Pomona. I bought 2 of them because you never know, like, whether you can trade for one in the future, or if like that show becomes, if it becomes like one of the best known Giz shows, like after they release a bootleg of it or something, like, yeah, the posters gotta go way up in value. But I'm not really thinking of it from that perspective. Like I don't need to invest in Giz as like a way of making money. Like I have a real job. So and so yeah, that's actually a new thing since the last time I recorded this podcast. I got a real job again. But it's totally remote and I'm able to still express myself. It's a European company, thank God for that. Anyway, yeah, the Pomona show was fucking sick. We also got the Sea of Trees there. And that and Sea of Trees is like, that's one of my favorite Giz songs anyway. And it was so cool to see him play it live, because not only it was just like, yeah, holy shit, we're getting something from 12 Bar. No, it was they did like a whole 10-minute jam on Sea of Trees, and that was just so fucking sick. And that's something that they've been doing more and more of this tour, is really jamming out on certain tracks. Like they did an extended jam of Boogeyman Sam that was fucking amazing. I think that went on for like over 10 minutes in Las Vegas. They also did slow jams 1 and 2, one and then the other, both nights Vegas. And in the middle of those songs, they got they started jamming it out and jamming out this new song that's a funk song. It's a funky, there's something funky there. they started playing just straight up funk, or gizzy funk, maybe not straight up funk, but like that is going to be probably on the next album, or a future album, because it wasn't on Omnium Gatherum and it wasn't from anything they've previously released. And the only reason that I'm thinking it's a song from them and not like some obscure cover, like when they used to do Hawkwind's Master of the Universe, yeah, as kind of like the prelude into Robot Stop. This was like I because like the lyrics that I remember were this, they went pins and needles like a voodoo evil, and I was like, ooh, that's catchy, I'll remember that. So I googled those lyrics and nothing came up, other than like how to practice voodoo. And I do like witchcraft manifestation spells, but like I'll leave the voodoo and the Santeria to the OGs. But anyway, so that's cool. That's the fact that we are going to get more funky, and like, because like there's some funky shit on Omnium Gatherum, but the idea that they're going to be going more into that possibly, like Sadie Sorceress and what was it, Persistence or Presumptuous. Again, I'm not extremely well versed in Omnium Gatherum just yet. It's it's going to take me probably a month to fully digest it. But there were some elements to some of these songs that got pretty funky. Even Candles, like that's just such a pleasant track, and but it's like kind of funky, I can't help but feel like that's sort of a tease into what else they got coming out of that Drip and Tap, but yeah, I obviously this album is just insane, and the overwhelming opinion from all the groups I've seen people post in is just this album's fantastic. Like you can't really make a good argument for why this album sucks, or it's like not as good as one of their earlier albums. Like it's wildly different, and that's again like they do with Butterfly 3000. Like they kind of blew my mind with well, maybe it didn't blow my mind, because like they blew my mind when I saw them in Vegas. That's ultimate, that's peak mind blowing by King Giz, where he can't even articulate jack shit, even a sentence. But yeah, like this album, they keep evolving. Their sound keeps evolving. Like Magenta Mountain. I watched the reaction video from that guy, Anthony Fantano. I think that's his name. The bald dude who has like, I don't know how that guy enjoys his life when he's so fucking critical of every song that ever comes out, but he really loved Magenta Mountain. Or actually, maybe that's going too strong. He said he liked it. And this is what he was hoping that Butterfly, or what he thought Butterfly 3000 could have been. And yeah, I do agree with that. There's more to it. There's a lot more. It's a heavier song for being electronic, like heavier just in the sound, and especially the live version of that is just sick. I love how they just jam out at the end, and plus like having Stu just kind of just strum those individual notes with the with the delay effect on there, and doing some string scratches, or pick scratches on the strings. It really adds a whole other dynamic to that song, beyond what's already a great studio recording. Yeah, Magenta Mountain, fucking beautiful track. Forgot where I was going with it. Well, yeah, the seemingly never ending evolution of this band. I was also thinking, especially after that first San Diego show, I went out to a bar afterward, just to grab a couple beers and take the edge off of the acid before I went to sleep. I I talked with some other people who were there at the show, and again, not my favorite people I've ever spoken with in my life, but cause I was asking them, hey, what do you think of the show? And they're just like, it was fine. And I was just like, yeah, I can't help but think like their live, their days as being like an amazing live band might be past them. I was thinking like, turning 30 and then like a few of them having kids and settling down, like it might not be what they're going for anymore. They might not really be trying to go for like that hard edge that they used to have. And but that just turned out to be pure bullshit. It was just an off night. And I 100%, the more I saw them play and I saw them bounce back the next night at Pomona, and who knows, maybe they didn't even bounce back. The crowd is what determines whether the show is great. Because like it's live music. You're going to see them make, mistakes or, not play a certain part just because it's like they're not flowing in that particular way. And so like that's just going to happen. So therefore, it really is on the audience to make the show amazing. And again, that speaks volumes about what makes King Gizzard such an amazing symbiotic band with their fan base, just like the Grateful Dead. And specifically like that term I use, symbiotic, symbiosis. That's something that I picked out of the book that I've referenced several times on here. Everything I Know About Business That I Learned from the Grateful Dead by Barry Barnes. Barry Barnes, not Bonds. Not that. I'm a baseball guy, but I can still get my facts right. But in that book, if you're unaware, he dissects the Grateful Dead business model and all facets of it, and one of the most important parts is one of the things that they have is the newsletter that Jerry Garcia sent out to their Grateful Dead mailing list. Like, it used to be physical mail, and then by the 90s it became I think they did get on email. They got it like they were pretty early into the whole email thing, email newsletters, but they did anyway. The whole point of their newsletter was to create this kind of transparency with their fan base. And in it, they so specifically, this was referring to, I think, in 1982 when Touch of Grey, whichever year it was that Touch of Grey came out, and that was because like that was the first song, maybe not the first one, but it was a big one for getting Grateful Dead into the mainstream and onto the charts, which that translated into more and more people coming to the shows, them having to upgrade their venues to accommodate the greater influx of people. And in seeing and understanding that change that was occurring, Jerry Garcia pointed out that, like in this letter, being transparent to the fans, saying, hey, look, in the spirit of being part of this symbiotic machine that is the Grateful Dead, please don't like find it in yourself to refrain from gatekeeping, because yes, it was amazing we got to have so many smaller intimate experiences together, but this is also just what it is. We need to keep the spirit alive, and as long as we keep that spirit of camaraderie and the understanding the notion that we are a symbiotic machine, we can then scale this type of growth. Makes sense, right? And so I do honestly, so I feel like King is so closely parallels that whole mantra and overall the business model of being, of doing everything with themselves and in sourcing, with their friends, and building like this really organic Gizverse as we know it to be. Like even in the Magenta Mountain live video slash and also the Butterfly 3000, the Black Hot Soup remix music video. There's that one security guard, John, apparently his name's John. His company is called Asset Protect Group, and give him a follow on Instagram. He follows the podcast now, but it's so cool because like even down to the security guy slash tough guy actor when they need one. It's so cool to see the band continue to bring people in, into the fold. Like, for a while we were only getting art from Jason Galea, which was fucking wonderful. But now we're getting stuff from like, PHC Films and who knows however many other artists they have working with them as well. They had a couple other collaborators on the new record, who I'm not familiar with. They're not in the band really, but they have Barney McCall and Barry Mason. I don't know who either of those guys are, but and then Heinz Funk and Les Reed. I don't know if these are like alter ego names because also credited as Shrimpomaniac, which obviously that's Ambrose rapping. That's his rap name, which that's awesome. In any case, this band is in such great shape. I love to see it. I know you all love to see it. We all love to see it. This is why I do a podcast, or why I'm doing the podcast right now and not inundating anybody who is willing or just available to listen with this shit. It's like, I'm such a blowhard. This is but who isn't in this fucking Gizverse, right? Probably a good number of us. But hey, it's good not to have shame in moderation. Shame is kind of a good thing sometimes, but anyway, at this point I'm just rambling. I'm trying to think of anything else that I wanted to get off my chest. The chats, I fucking love them now. They were dope because we had Amel and the Sniffers open the first night in Vegas, and then the chats opened night 2. And if you're not familiar with the chats, they're kind of in the same vein as Amel, like Black Flag style punk rock. They're other Aussies. They introduced a lot of songs, with like, this is about the shithole we grew up in. And then the next one was just like, it's about the people in that shithole we grew up in. Fuck them. It was just like fun punk rock shit like that. Like, I, like me personally, I'm not that punk rock where I'm just saying like, yeah, fuck those people. Cause like, obviously, yeah, but you get that so much now, it almost feels hack. Like, yeah, a lot of people suck. That's just the nature of when the world population doubles in 50 years, which it has in the last 50 years. Like, you're gonna get more and more shitty people, and the more interconnected we get, the more you're gonna see it. I don't think it necessarily means that the world is a shittier place, because ultimately I think it's a vocal minority that is being the shittiest. No matter what your ideology or lack of ideology is, shit is shit. And I think like overall the world is it's not a popular narrative because it doesn't make advertisers a lot of money. It doesn't generate a lot of revenue to be like, hey, actually I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. I can't help but be a perpetual optimist. Sorry. So anyway, on that note, fucking give the chats a listen. Also shout out to Mild Life. They were fun. But if you're gonna like really get the vibe of a crowd like going for Giz, open up with some fucking punk rock. Until next time, guys. Well, yeah, this is the podcast. Bye.